Hey guys, it's Brennan the Paleo Dude and welcome back to another video. Today we'll be doing a recap on last year's Jurassic World Dominion figures, specifically focusing on the Biosyn Valley figures, and this includes the human characters, playsets, vehicles, and dinosaurs. Real quick, if you take a look down in the link in my bio, I have t-shirts for sale. I recently named a new species of mosasaur, Hanosaurus boobker, and if you guys would like to help support our future research, you can purchase a shirt of this new species and it will go towards our future projects and research. So thank you so much for the support and back to the video. I'll start off with one of my favorite figures, or more interesting figures from this lineup, the Morris Intrepidus. This guy was actually seen in the prologue video as well as the facility in the Biosyn Valley that had it eating a little, I guess, a mouse or something. It was not actually out in the park, but just like in a little enclosure in the lab. But here this figure is a lot larger than the movie counterpart, but this figure does have the color scheme of the movie Morris, which is super neat. This guy was actually quite a surprise to see, as the first figure that came out was really colorful and looked nothing like the one in the movie, so it's really cool to have it with that paint deco. A lot of the movie figures have a kind of, I don't want to say bland, but they have like a more neutral, earthy color. It's a lot darker. So like the Iguanodon here is this kind of more realistic color than say like the Spinosaurus that came out alongside it. So basically whenever a dinosaur is not in the movie, Mattel likes to amp up the color. This one was in the movie, but they just gave it a very shiny, flashy neon color for some reason. But yeah, a lot of the movie dinosaurs have this sort of paint job where it's more realistic. So you'll see this darker theme in the Rex, the Giga, the Therizinosaurus, the Trike, Parasaurolophus, these two guys, these two guys as well. But that's really nice because it really grounds a lot of the figures into a sort of category in the toy line where you know they're from the movie because they have this kind of similar paint scheme with the darker colors and the more natural colors. The Triceratops is neat. It actually went through a lot of different paint job and pattern changes in its production. So the original figure had quite a lot going on the frill. It had, I think, yellow and orange, where now the pattern just has this kind of orangey red. And it used to be a lot more elaborate, but they dulled down the paint and the kind of pattern on the frill. Also, the back was going to be a way more elaborate with this color stretching down with stripes, but they got rid of that for a more bland, blotchy color. So kind of sad, but they did stick with the darker colors for this figure, which was nice. The Dimetrodon is fantastic. I love the colors on this movie figure. Feels really natural, and I love the pattern on the sail on the back. They did not cheap out on that at all, and it really fits in with the rest of the dinosaurs. Quite iconic. I know that the Parasaurolophus was in the first scene in the snow. It had this paint job, but I'm pretty sure there were some like this in the valley. I can't remember if we actually saw any, but this is a Biosyn Parasaurolophus, which is another confusing thing how it ended up in North America on the loose when Biosyn was just producing these for their facilities, so that was kind of odd, but this guy is another kind of characteristic darker color. And of course there's a lot of Parasaurolophus in the valley already. We've got Grant here with the overcoat and the cool blue shirt. That came with the Dimetrodon figure, because that seems pretty iconic with the two of them, so I like that Mattel really paired characters with dinosaurs well for each scene. Same with Kayla and the Pyroraptor. Now the Pyroraptor figure is quite interesting because it seems to be, from what I've heard based off the prototype of the Pyroraptor before the film was finished, where it had shorter wing feathers, and also if it did have longer ones, they'd probably get in the way of articulation, so this may have been a good call, but it's kind of interesting how it differs from its movie counterpart. But the coloration is fantastic. It's got like this lighter color of feathers on the back of the head, black bottom jaw, and the tail on the bottom's colored black as well, with kind of the side feathers. And the Dilophosaurus actually came with the Claire figure, which is, again, referring to another scene in the movie. She's up there on that tower. But this one's fantastic. They went all out with the paint on the frill to make it look movie accurate. Same with the paint on the head. This sculpt is basically the one they've been using since the beginning of the Jurassic toy line for Mattel, but they definitely gave it a more nicer, realistic movie color to its body and pattern as well. So that's pretty neat. And of course, the helicopter, the Biosyn helicopter, is fantastic. It really adds to the whole lineup, as it's got the Biosyn genetics name on the side of the helicopter. And originally, this remote control vehicle was supposed to have the Biosyn markings on the side, and they seem to have changed it last second to the Jurassic World logo, because in a lot of the marketing imagery and a lot of the prototype imagery, it had the Biosyn logo and the Biosyn name on the side. Now it doesn't have that, which is kind of a letdown because it would have looked a lot cooler than the generic original Jurassic World logo for some reason. But it's a remote control vehicle, so they may have had some sort of issue with that and changed it. So the Pteranodon was also in Dominion's Biosyn Valley. Same with the Quetzalcoatlus up there. Now this figure is pretty cool. It's very similar to the original Quetzalcoatlus figure from the Dino Rivals lineup in 2019. Obviously, a lot of the sculpt they changed, they updated it, so it looks a lot better in detail-wise and color-wise. There's no paint on the bottom of the wings or the underbelly, but there's a lot of paint on the wings and on the head. It's probably one of the most detailed parts of the creature. The neck actually has posability, which is fantastic. You can have it look all around. And the button on the bottom here moves the jaw, and the button on the top here flaps the wings. So this figure has a lot of different action features to it. And the paint is fantastic on the head. It's orange around the eyes, on the tip of the beak, and on the crest there. Move all these guys out of the way. This is also a sick figure. I absolutely loved getting this one in hand for the first time. It is fantastic. It's got a button on the top of the tail right here. And the tail's like thick too. Easy to like grab, and then you press that button and the neck bends down, opening the mouth. And then you can see all the teeth are painted in there. It's got very scary, jagged, sharp teeth. And the beak's not painted at the tip, but there's fantastic paint on the head, all the way down the body. And the arms are fully posable. There's 3 points of articulation there with the wrist, the elbow, and where it connects to the body. And you can actually pose that, and there is a feature where you grab the tail and you shake it back and forth, and it does like a slashing motion, which is pretty funky. And it's around the same size as a Carnotaurus figure, and it even has posability in the legs, which most of these figures of this scale, like the Allosaurus and Carnotaurus, don't have, which is another added bonus. It's fantastic. And it's got the characteristic Dominion colors to it. And you can see in the back there, we got little Beta and the Locust as well, and there is Ian Malcolm. Now I'll pull the Giga figure up front. I've got a toothpick in the mouth holding it. So what's interesting about the Giga figure is it has this kind of rotating action feature where the body in the middle is on a swivel, So it's got one button to open and close the mouth. Lots of detail, lots of scratches on the face. Really nice. But there's this button here that's kind of like a soft rubber button that when you press it, it kind of rotates, which is a very weird and janky sort of mechanic to have, but you can kind of combine the two for like attacks. Now, the first generation, the first wave of these figures, you hear when it rotates there's this like clicking noise. It has these little stoppers, these little like internal gears that once you rotate it, it stops. Like when you rotate it one way, it's fluid, but when you rotate it back, you can't. There's no, it stops you, right? So when you have it up, the body facing like this, gravity doesn't just bring it down like that, because on one side, the back side, it has something stopping it. So you can rotate it one way, but not the other, because of that little peg. So it keeps it stable when it's standing up, so it doesn't just flop down. But I found the second wave of this figure to be released, it doesn't have those. So you can't position it like this. It will always just flop down like that, which is kind of sad because it makes it so you can't pose it like that without it flopping down like that. So that's, I'm kind of glad I picked up this figure when I did, or else I'd be stuck with one without that posability, and it'd be kind of sucky. Also, it's got rubbery teeth, so the paint doesn't chip on those, and it's got these like tiny teeth inside as well. See on the top and the bottom jaw, they kind of interlock. That's pretty weird, but they had that on the Scorpius Rex, so I guess they added it to this guy to kind of fill in the gaps. Now, the Giga figure is actually smaller than the Rex, which is pretty bizarre. I'll like position it neutrally and show you guys. Obviously, we all know the head of the Rex is massive, hugely oversized for this lineup, but it's actually a lot bigger in comparison to the Giga. Okay, wait, let's see. So they're about the same length, but the hip height is slightly taller on the Rex, and of course the head size is just insanely different. So they really played the Giga off as like the big bad, bigger than the T-Rex, but unfortunately it's the same size, if not smaller, than the Rex figure, which is a little bit of a letdown. It would have been pretty neat to see it around the same scale, or at least scale up the head and the body with it to kind of fit, because it looks unnatural. But yeah, it's cool that it does have a kind of funky action feature that makes it flop around. But again, it would have been nice to be the same size, if not bigger than the T-Rex. But these are iconic, and they're going to eventually, with time, be like looked upon fondly, hopefully. Ugh. Hopefully. So then we have the Brachiosaurus. I'm making a huge mess in the backdrop. His tails are everywhere. We have the Brachiosaurus back there with the kind of blue shiny bits on the head. This figure, I think, was like a Amazon exclusive. And the Dreadnoughtus over here, absolutely massive addition to the lineup. Biggest sauropod figure we have now. Super long tail, super long neck. But it fits in really well with the lineup, and I'm glad they made it. It has fantastic coloration right out of the movie, which is nice. But I don't think we're ever going to get like a repaint of it in the future. It's a one-off thing. So let's see if we get the Therizine next to these guys. Can you stop flopping? Nope. There we go. Ooh. I made a huge mess. So altogether, these sets are fantastic because you can recreate a lot of the scenes from the Biosyn Valley portion of the movie. You've got the helicopter, which you can land kind of within this compound, within the fence pieces. And you can have the Dreadnoughtus there in the shot as well, which it kind of was taking up the space of where the helicopter was going to land at the end of the film. You've got the vehicle that everyone was in when they're driving back from the mines, so you can flip over and have the characters hide behind, which is really nice. The vehicle's a tad bit large, but that's totally chill. All the figures you can have kind of in there as well. There's space inside for about 5 figures you can cram in. And it's remote control, so that's an additional fun thing. You got the Dilophosaurus, which I think they had Claire cornered on the bottom of the this kind of tower thing. So you can recreate that scene pretty easily with this set. Like that. Kind of stupid. Oh my god. Anyways, and of course have the figures up on the balcony when it gets ripped down by the Giga. I think the Giga barely reaches that height, actually. Let's see. Yeah, so the top of the head, top of the snout just barely reaches that, but you can have it like grab on and knock that down. So that's a cool scene you can recreate as well with these figures. There wasn't really any scene with those gates over there, those front gates, but those will, of course, be really cool for recreating scenes of dinosaurs breaking into certain areas or breaking out of certain areas, and a really cool addition to the lineup as well. They could be like the gates that all the dinosaurs have to walk through to get into the safe zone. And yeah, no, there's the Dimetrodon from the mine scene as well. I think that's it. The Quetzalcoatlus in the plane, though we don't have like her original plane to do that, but that's not that big of a deal or loss for the playset wise. So yeah, these are vast range of different dinosaurs and vehicles from that final scene. Basically everything you need to recreate the final scene of Dominion, which is fantastic. They really went on an emphasis with the dinosaurs from the Biosyn Valley, and then I think another majority were from the Malta scene, but definitely all of the figures fit well with each other for recreating scenes. And I'm glad Mattel gave us a diversity of vehicles, characters, and of course the playset to recreate stuff with. So yeah, no, definitely excited to do some photography now that the snow's all melted in my area, and I'll definitely be making some videos on those in the near future. So if you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. You can also check out my channel for other older videos on these figures, and I'll see you all in the next one then. Bye-bye.